Most people know BlackRock. They've heard of State Street, but there's a company bigger than both. A company that owns pieces of Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Tesla, Walmart, and thousands of other corporations. It controls over $9 trillion in assets. It's one of the largest owners of nearly every major company on Earth, yet most people have never heard of it. This is Vanguard, the investment giant that owns everything and operates in complete silence. The man who broke Wall Street's rules. To understand Vanguard, you need to understand John Bogle, the man who created it. John Clifton Bogle was born on May 8, 1929 in Montclair, New Jersey. He died in 2019 at age 89, but the company he founded controls a significant portion of the global economy. John didn't come from wealth. His family was comfortable until the 1929 stock market crash destroyed their savings. His father lost everything and struggled with alcoholism. John later said, "I learned early that the stock market could destroy lives. That lesson shaped everything I built." John was brilliant. He attended Princeton University on scholarship, where he wrote his senior thesis on mutual funds. The paper argued that most mutual funds failed to beat the market and charged too much in fees. His conclusion was radical. Why not create a fund that just tracks the entire market, charges almost nothing, and guarantees average returns? It was a simple idea, but on Wall Street, it was heresy. After graduating in 1951, John joined Wellington Management Company, a mutual fund firm. He worked there for over 20 years, eventually becoming president. But in 1974, John was fired after a merger he championed went badly. At age 45, he was out of a job, but John didn't give up. He convinced Wellington's board to let him create a new company that would operate the funds Wellington managed. In 1975, John founded Vanguard. He named it after HMS Vanguard, a British naval flagship. He wanted his company to lead, not follow. The revolutionary idea. Nobody wanted John's vision for Vanguard was simple but radical. Create mutual funds that charged almost no fees and simply tracked market indexes. On Wall Street, this was insane. Fund managers made their money from fees. The more they charged, the richer they got. John wanted to flip that model. He believed investors, not fund managers, should keep the profits. In 1976, Vanguard launched the first index investment trust, the first index fund available to individual investors. It tracked the S&P 500. Wall Street laughed. They called it Bogle's folly. They said nobody would invest in a fund designed to be average. A competitor at the time mocked, "Why would anyone pay for average returns? People want to beat the market, not match it." But John had done the math. He knew that after fees, most actively managed funds perform worse than the market average. John once explained, "The stock market is a zero-sum game before costs. After costs, it's a loser's game. The only way to win is to minimize costs." The first index investment trust struggled at first. It raised only $11 million in its initial offering, far below expectations. But John didn't quit. He kept pushing the index fund concept. And slowly, investors started to understand. Why pay high fees for fund managers who couldn't beat the market? The structure that changed everything. What made Vanguard truly revolutionary wasn't just index funds. It was ownership structure. Most investment companies are owned by outside shareholders who profit from managing other people's money. Vanguard is different. It's owned by its funds. And the funds are owned by investors. This means Vanguard is essentially owned by the people who invest in it. A financial analyst explained, "Vanguard has no outside owners, no shareholders demanding profits. The investors are the owners. It's a mutual structure. This structure allows Vanguard to charge rock-bottom fees. There's no profit motive. The company exists solely to serve investors. The average Vanguard fund charges about 1W10% in fees. Competitors charge 0.WWW% to 1WW. That difference seems small, but over decades, it adds up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. This structure also makes Vanguard nearly impossible to buy or take over. There are no shares to purchase, no owners to negotiate with. Vanguard is locked in perpetuity, just like John wanted. The silent giant that owns everything today. Vanguard manages over $9 trillion in assets. That's trillion with a T. To put that in perspective, Vanguard controls more money than the entire GDP of every country except the United States and China. Vanguard is the largest or second largest shareholder in nearly every major publicly traded company in America. Apple, Vanguard owns about 8%. Microsoft, about 8%. Amazon, about 7%. Alphabet, Google, about 8%. Tesla, about 7%. The list goes on. Coca-Cola, Disney, Walmart, JP Morgan, ExxonMobil, Johnson & Johnson, Vanguard own significant stakes in all of them. A corporate governance researcher said, Vanguard is everywhere. If you're a CEO of a major company, Vanguard is probably one of your biggest shareholders. But here's the strange part. Vanguard almost never uses that power. While activist investors push for changes, demand board seats, and influence corporate strategy, Vanguard stays silent. Vanguard votes its shares in corporate elections, but it rarely makes noise. It doesn't demand anything. It just owns and watches. A financial journalist who investigated Vanguard said they're the most powerful investor on earth, but they act like they're not even there. The company that doesn't want attention, Vanguard, is famously secretive and low-key. The company doesn't advertise much. It doesn't have flashy offices. Its headquarters is in Malvern, Pennsylvania, a suburb, not Wall Street. Vanguard executives rarely give interviews. They don't chase publicity. They don't attend celebrity events. The current CEO, Mortimer Tim Buckley, is almost unknown outside investment circles. A financial reporter said, trying to get Vanguard to talk is like trying to interview the CIA. They just don't do it. This secrecy has fueled conspiracy theories. Some people believe Vanguard secretly controls the global economy, that it manipulates markets, that it's part of a shadowy elite. But most experts say Vanguard is just boring. A finance professor explained, Vanguard doesn't want attention because attention creates pressure. They just want to manage money quietly and efficiently. That's it. Vanguard's culture is the opposite of Wall Street. No bonuses, no lavish perks, no ego. A former Vanguard employee said, it's the most boring place I've ever worked. And that's the point. Investing should be boring. The conspiracy theories Vanguard's size and secrecy have made it a target for conspiracy theorists. Some claim Vanguard, along with BlackRock and State Street, forms a big three that secretly controls the world. They point out that these three firms are major shareholders in almost every large corporation. They argue this creates conflicts of interest and concentration of power. Others claim Vanguard is owned by mysterious elites, that it's a front for powerful families like the Rothschilds or Rockefellers. But these theories are false. Vanguard's ownership structure is public and transparent. It's owned by its funds, which are owned by millions of individual investors. A financial analyst debunked the theories Vanguard isn't owned by shadowy elites. It's owned by teachers, nurses, retirees, regular people saving for retirement. The legacy of John Bogle. John Bogle died on January 16, 2019, at age 89. But his impact is immeasurable. He revolutionized investing. He saved investors trillions of dollars in fees. He proved that simple beats complex. When John died, tributes poured in from across the financial world. Warren Buffett said Jack Bogle did more for the individual investor than anyone I know. John's philosophy was simple. Stay the course. Keep costs low. Don't try to beat the market. Just own it. That philosophy built a $9 trillion empire and changed how millions of people invest, the future of the silent giant. Today, Vanguard continues growing. Assets under management increase every year. More people are choosing index funds over actively managed funds. The trend John started 50 years ago has become the norm. Vanguard now competes with BlackRock as the world's largest asset manager. Together, they control over $20 trillion. But Vanguard remains different. It's still owned by investors. It still charges minimal fees. It still operates quietly. Critics worry about Vanguard's size and influence. Supporters say it's the best thing that ever happened to everyday investors. A retirement planner concluded Vanguard isn't perfect, but it's done more good for regular people than almost any financial company in history. The empire that serves, not rules. Vanguard proved that you can be powerful without being loud, that you can own everything without controlling everything, that serving clients beats extracting profits. John Bogle broke Wall Street's rules and built something Wall Street hated, a company that put investors first. From a fired executive to a revolutionary, from a mocked idea to a 9 trillion empire, from Bogle's folly to the company that owns everything. That's the story of Vanguard, a silent giant that changed investing forever and asked for nothing in return. If you enjoy uncovering the hidden giant that owns pieces of nearly every major company on earth, let us know who we should investigate next. The most powerful forces in the world often operate in silence, and we're bringing them into the light.